one of the most boring trips ever invented. It was walk to Temple Meads, get on the train, go to Avonmouth and come back. And the children absolutely adored it. It was their hook from the railway carriage. And those children just sat and just were absolutely captivated by the differences they saw going on that train. Because of course they went through all these places they'd never been to. And it started off at the topic beautifully and was one of the cheapest visits they had that year. Okay, so then we were just thinking about how we foster love of learning as a school, sort of as a team. Sharing specialisms, Jamie said. We had our Magic Maths Day, and so we did it we worked in 3 phases, but so each teacher ended up dressed, I think, like a magical wizard for the day. We like dressing up. Dressing up essential, but so within the phase, each teacher would plan a maths activity, and the classes rotated around that. So you've got that experience of working with different teachers, but doing those different activities. That was a really wow day, and actually incredibly simple to plan because you're already planning your lesson because you're doing it 4 times with different children. So we enjoyed that. We used Talk for Writing. I don't know if any of you use that, the whole Pike Orbit thing, which is essentially, he's shooting for this, saying this quickly, but that learn to tell a story yourself, embed a story in your heart before you can actually even begin to write it, and that's absolutely fantastic. So do look up Pike Orbit. We have a Super Learner, so you've got a Super Learner postcard, that's one of our reward systems. We have stickers, we have things, but Super Learner runs throughout the school, so it's just that sense of, well, what is a Super Learner, what do we need to be a Super Learner, and the children really explore the core learning skills of, I need to be resilient, I need to be robust, I need to be able to think, I need to be able to speak clearly, I'm like their teacher, I need to be able to listen and ask questions, and so we're really, really trying to build on that, those learning skills, because actually that's what we're going to need when we go out in the big wide world. So Super Learner kind of encapsulates that, and so we don't have any rewards for behaviour. So you might get a sticker, so you might get a Super Learner sticker that says, I might give that to you for a fabulous piece of writing. Okay, so you would wear that with pride home. These are quite prestigious, and then I would say, so when you get home, tell me why you're a Super Learner. And so it's about engaging that dialogue and taking that dialogue home as well. We've also started our Values Champion. So we have a class Super Learner of the Week, and but we also have our Values Champion. So as a Church of England school, we have our core values, but our collective worship is based on that, but we look for those values in action. So rather than collective worship being a thing that we have to do for 20 minutes on a Monday morning, it's about actually seeing that in action. And what's really lovely is the children are really beginning to see how actually that core value of respect, for example, is actually really important to see it happening on the playground, in the classroom, in the corridor. So that's really working. Jim Smith's Lazy Teacher book, rather a lot of us have read that and really liked that and really enjoyed playing with that. And I did an observation in a reception class, and I love it when you observe in reception because you just go, wow, wouldn't it be lovely if like every class was like this? You know that the children are completely independent, they're working completely on their own. And I went up and observed in Year 6, and I was absolutely blown away because that was finally exactly what was happening, because somebody had read a book, completely absorbed it, tried it, experimented, and they were doing their enterprise project. So the children set up their own companies, they had to write letters of persuasion to the banker, me, so I had to loan them money. And they had to make serious amounts of profit. They had to go to the scrap store to buy and Rick, the teacher, went, they said they went with £8, and I don't know if you've been to the scrap store, but you can buy an awful lot of junk for £8. The children wouldn't spend their money. And so they all bought change back from the scrap store. But then they all designed their prototypes and made their models and then sold them and have made a tremendous profit. So they're now going to pay for themselves to go to Western-super-Mare. But what was so fantastic about that lesson observation is that Rick wasn't doing any teaching. The kids were all working in their teams, doing their prototypes, and it was just so exciting to go from reception to Year 6 to see exactly the same thing happening. Okay, sorry, I'm like totally charging through this. Okay, so another thing I wanted to think about was how us as a school, foster learning for teachers in school, and I have stuck with teachers, but this is totally relevant for all staff who work in school. Okay, Hal, I love Hal. And do you know what? If you haven't read his book, it's big print, it's really easy, and it's full of this, it's amazing, and I'm not on commission. But he's been and worked with us, and he's going to be coming back working with us next year. But what he talks about so much is the independence of children's learning, and that whole mapping thing completely works. And Year 3 are doing a topic on towns at the moment, and they've just invented their own town. It's all up, they did it on the floor on maps, it's all up on the wall at the moment. Did I go back a page? No. I didn't. Check, that looks the same, that's really embarrassing. Right, okay. Head sends tips and recommends web feeds. So when I'm feeling wide awake on a Sunday, I do this little learning links blog, and I'm absolutely ages, I don't know. But I try and sort of like, capture what I've seen on Twitter and suggest things, and actually that's really exciting because that meant somebody actually read it. We do. Hey, this is really exciting. This is so going in my performance magic style. Look at this. I've thought about practical ways of improving my own learning through the performance management process. I did not pay David to write that comment. I'm so excited. But what we have done is we do a teacher. We're doing every teacher does an individual action plan for themselves for the term, so I don't see it, but I give people time to write it and think about it, and so people come up with an aspect of their own learning that they are going to work on. And then every term people get time to then go and do a peer observation, which is very much, I come into your classroom because I fancy looking at your question because I know you're fab at it, and then we'll talk about it. And it's having those opportunities to go and learn from each other that we've really started to embed that people are loving. Also obviously we do formal observations, but what we try and do is put lots more drop-ins, so it's much more developmental feedback, so actually we're learning, it's less pressure, but people are liking that. Liz Hopkins, she's come in and done some work with us, so there's her website. She's got some amazing stuff on calculation rules for maths. What else do we do? Well, obviously, we planned a really good CPD programme, really tried to develop that concept of people learning themselves independently. Briefing every week. What I really try and do is make sure, that was really nice what Dan said, hard work is appreciated. As the head teacher, I'm really aware of how hard everybody works, particularly at the moment, writing all those hideous reports. And so that's the whole saying thank you thing is so simple and so easily forgotten. So every week in our briefing, the first thing that happens is like thank you. So every week there's the thank you, whoever they're doing whatever, like the summer fair. Everybody turned up last week, which was amazing on a Saturday. Okay, so I then asked teachers, well, how do you foster a love of learning for yourself? It was hilarious that they missed off staff language, written blogging, so I put those on. But actually, it's really lovely thinking that people are learning themselves, and actually not just learning school stuff, because actually, fortunately I've got human beings working in my school, not just people obsessed with teaching. So David has used his social skills in school actually to run a club, and he did a presentation at the summer fair the other week. And again, just in red, you can just see some of the things that the staff have been up to, which really has generated a love of learning. So it just gives some examples really of what they've been up to.